welcome back. And we're moving into our second conversation for today, as our focus once again is on cycling in Belize. And joining us this morning, we have one of the candidates that's running for the president of the Cycling Federation of Belize, Alexi Ordonez. Good morning and welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, John. Morning, Marlene.
Good morning.
Alex, your official team is, you're running for president. Tell us about the other people who are your running mates.
My slate consists of Miss Karen Vernon. She's an event planner at Niche. Amazing at what she does. I have Mr. John Burns on board. He's a CPA for the past 25 years, internal audit at his establishment. Also, he manages cycling team, and he's an active weekend warrior. Also Mr. Sean Duncan, who is the information officer at his establishment, and he also is an active weekend warrior and an avid cyclist. Right.
So tell us, why did you decide to enter the race to vie for the president of the federation?
Well, I saw the need. First and foremost, I hear the concerns from the cyclists coming through the bike shop, and cycling is a huge part of my life. It's basically run through my veins. It's in my DNA. My grandfather was a cyclist. My dad is a cyclist. My younger brother is also a cyclist, right? I knew who John Main, Ernest Main was before I knew who Michael Jordan was, basically, right? So I'm very passionate about cycling, right? And therefore, I saw all the uproars that was happening, and I decided to step up to the plate.
Alexi, most of these associations across this country, as a matter of fact, across the world, you would always hear about the negatives that goes on, and it continues to bite and bite. And the cry from the people is that whenever there are discrepancies such as that, we tend to eventually fall behind. We fall short. Now, you're putting yourself into on the ballot here to vie for the presidency seat. Can you, before we go any further, can you tell us about what exactly is going on with the Cycling Federation of Belize?
Well, basically, it appears that it's run by very selected few, and the cyclists that come through the bike shop, and whenever I get into conversations with anybody in the cycling culture, they tend to tell me what are the things that they don't like about what's going on. I don't really hear anything that they do like at the moment. So that's the main thing. Sorry, can you say it again, the question? Like
the main concerns, and I think that's a very important point. Now, we were joined by Vice President Urson Butler on Monday, and we discussed with him the concerns that were coming or that had been displayed in the media by Tariq Kano and Kaya Katus, talking about the challenges that they see as cyclists, which is not enough junior races, women races, not fulfilling classics, and even allegations of mismanagement of funds. And I want to talk to you about that, because you are at the bike shop. Literally every cyclist usually
that's like
has to pass through your establishment.
Yes.
So you hear all the glory and all the challenges as well. What are the main concerns that cyclists in Belize have? Whether it is through the federation, as a result of the federation or not, but what are the concerns that they have?
Well, we had an open session on February the 16th just to talk to the cyclists. I invited all who I could have invited through the means of social media, via text and personal, right? Some showed up, some didn't show up. The people who did show up, like I said, we had an open discussion and raised some of the concerns, and some of the concerns were, more races, which we plan to do as well, right? Media coverage, the guys were asking, these guys go out there and put in 150 miles and don't get any kind of glory, So recently I spoke to a media house which is more than willing to get on board in helping us to cover more media. The criteria in which they select the national teams, right? And it appears that when the guys do go outside, there is not a a plan to execute per se,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And in cycling, there's different positions. You have basically just like a basketball team. You have positions you have to play. You have a domestique, a sprinter. Like two type of domestiques.
Yeah.
Someone that's going to service, bring the water and different stuff to you, and somebody who's protecting your main rider.
Yeah.
More concerns. To expand more and develop the youths and females and the junior cycling, right?
Yeah.
Kaya has an excellent program that she runs, right? And she's more than willing to work hand in hand with us to continue this program and to basically
Yeah.
grow it. Right?
Yeah.
Now, from the outside looking in, many people would say that cycling in Belize just doesn't seem to be progressing. And as much as people love their cross country, we're always hoping for Belizeans to win, and when we're not successful, we hear all the stories of the challenges that the cyclists have. What do you think you can do if you're elected as the president of the federation to finally make some progress in this sport?
Well, like I said, we plan to develop more from a very early age,
Yeah.
right? And the whole reason why I believe that the sport is not, or seems to not be progressing, is due to the poor marketing of the sport itself, right? We have all this technology now that we can basically, cover the races from beginning to end.
Yeah.
Due to what happened with the whole coverage of the when Channel 5 did not cover the race anymore, that was a major dent in the cycling community. And the guys, if we have them, which they are requesting, race more, and they will develop more due to more races, and how can I put it?
They have more exposure.
They have more
Yeah.
exposure, right? What was a concern as well that we mentioned was the guys would like more races here, but also go abroad.
Yeah.
Back in the days, I remember my younger brother and Brandon Catus used to have regular meetings. Since the past 4 years I've been at the bike shop, I haven't heard or seen any kind of meeting to say that these guys will have meetings in to know what's coming up then,
Yeah.
or to be prepared for any cycling event, right?
Now, everybody on your slate has been involved in cycling for a very long time, and I think it's interesting to see you all come together and decide to put yourself forward, because we know politics in sports federations or associations are really no different from the politics we see everywhere else. Everybody places blame, and there's a lot of personal attacks made against each other, and a lot of outsiders say, well, who's focusing on the sport? If you were to say what you feel that your individual team members can bring to the federation to help to build the sport from the young ones right up to the elite, what do you think John can contribute, Karen can contribute, and Sean can contribute, and yourself as well?
Well, like I said, the experience and the guidance that we have, also, it's not only the four of us. We have basically an army of people with a variety of, different backgrounds, expertise, which, we have accountants, managers, attorneys, advisors from the past federation who's behind us and has expressed their support. I've been getting calls non-stop since my name has been put out there that I am running for president, and they have expressed, their gratitude for somebody, stepping up and giving this whole thing a new facelift, and also they are willing to work with us. We understand that the four of us cannot do this alone, right? Like I mentioned, we have an army of people behind us, which is in different level of expertise, and will form smaller communities to take care of different sections. Right, cycling is a family sport, and it operates like a family. You know, I have no grievance with anybody in the thing. In the previous federation, you know, all the gentlemen that are in position are gentlemen of, you know, that I've been around since a young a child, and I have more than, you know, respect for them as well. So, you know, not to say that, you know, I'm not here to bash anybody or anything like that. But even if, let's say, I know that we will win, but let's say we don't win, I am more than willing to work with them as well to see, you know, how we can push this forward, because it won't work just me solely or just my team, right? It's an entire body coming together and pushing this thing forward.
You know, I like that you mentioned that even if you should not win, you'll be working along with the victor of that situation, being that it's a family sport. And I think coming out of a federation myself, that's one of the things that I think we need to continue to preach in terms of any sport in this country is everybody's business. It's not just the federation itself, it's everybody's business. You did mention as well, one of the things that the cyclists are actually asking for is more, you know, they need more races to become even better. But yourself becoming president, let's say you should win this along with your team. Do you think that it is important to eventually bring that outside force to eventually race along to carry us to another level? What do you think of this?
You mean like outside competition?
Outside competition.
Well, I sincerely believe in outside competition. You know, we go outside and compete as well. You know, they come in and compete. I'm a fan of the Tour de France, and if you know the Tour de France, it's been a while that they had a French winner for quite some time. They had American winners for 7 years consecutively, right? So it's just to show you that we shouldn't be bashing our local cyclists in terms, because we all know that as cyclists, they have a day job, and this is basically like a hobby to them. We don't have a program or anything set like these guys that, for example, the guy Padilla that won here, they are pro cyclists. They do this 24/7, right? Brandon Catus has a job, then he has to juggle. You know, we have a juggling lifestyle. So when our cyclists win, it is showing that, you know, we are extremely talented, and showcasing and competing with these guys show that we can compete on an international level if we put in the necessary time and the development of the cyclists, right?
But for the amount of years you've been doing this, if you again should become the president of the Cycling Federation of Belize, what would you do to change probably the cross country? I ask this because the excitement of the cross country for many people is to know that there's some foreigner who is actually tearing our shut. You know, he's at the front. But at the same time, we've got Belizeans who is coming up, quite to get cold. So you just think about it, because that's the excitement of it. What would you do to change cross country?
Well, I won't say me per se. You know, like I said,
Your
it's
team.
a team, not just a team, an army, right? Of people who has already committed to assisting us, right? And the media coverage, I do believe, is a major part of, you know, bringing back the excitement to this cross country, right? So, like I said, I have a media house on board already. I would sincerely believe that more medias, if we can have something like shared media to cover it, because everybody's in tune. Some Easters when I would go with my family and we go to a key down south and there's only a radio, no TV, no nothing. Everybody surround the radio listening to the cross country, and that's just only now. Imagine the kids that have the phone in their hands now, and we can live stream something like this, right? We can catch it out that side as well.
Right. It is such an important part of who we are as Belizeans, and I think even our Easter vacation, I remember once being on an island as well and streaming the video live from Channel 5 to see the closing. And I think that it's not just about enhancing the race, but one of the things we hear so often from the cyclists is that the prizes are really, they're important to them. They work hard for it as well. Have you spoken or reached out to the business community, or have you gotten support from businesses who say,
Yes.
Alex, if you are in charge, we are going to back you. We'll ensure or females have adequate prizes, which is important, and that all the other cyclists will be winning something that shows the hard work they've put in.
Yes, I have been in contact with, more than, like I said, I have an army of people who has showed their support, and they are willing to help and assist in getting this thing back to where it was.
Yeah.
Cycling is, if the cross country is not the biggest, or one of our biggest, if not the biggest sporting event in our country, right? So people are, like I said, they're already in tune, right? They're excited, and I have, how can I put it?
You have commitments already from people.
Yes, right, from people that are on board and more than willing to assist with the prizes per se, right? Also, what I would like to mention is that if we can, we have plans, to talk to the government or whosoever is in that, this thing is helping kids that were in some messed up situation. For example, we know that what's going on with our young youths, especially the boys, right? And this cycling has been an avenue for them to, a distraction. By the time they finish training and go home, they're knocked out. They have no time to, be idle or anything like that, right? So it's a plus. So, we might think that, cycling is an expensive sport, but we must keep in mind that what it's doing at the end of the day as well, right? We it's taking kids from out the streets and having them something to do as well. If you ask most of the doctors now, rehabilitation for past athletes that are basketball players, football players, they suggest to them, pick up riding because of the pounding they put on their knees or different like that. So it's a sport, my dad is a prime example. He was in an accident and he wasn't sure if he will be able to ride again, and due to cycling, and he was persistent with it. The rehabilitation with that, have him walking around, working like normal, right, and riding still, right. So cycling has a major part to play in our community and our lives and in terms of health,
of course,
as well, right?
It does bring forth a healthy lifestyle, and this is the reason why a lot of people are actually picking it up. One of the things that we preach: you go to the doctor, you should live a healthy lifestyle. You want to build stamina, ride a bike. You ride a bike. You want to lose some weight, ride a bike. You want to be disciplined, ride a bike. One of the things that I think, especially when it comes to media, and again coming out of a federation, I think one of the things that throws off media houses would be that the federation normally buys into one media house, and that media house would want to sell media rights to other media houses at a really ridiculous price. If you should become the president, would you accept this?
Like I said, it's that's not a decision based on me. To ask you to repeat the question, you mean like there's a media house, you said they buy, and then they would sell to the other.
A media house would come together and say, you know what, let me buy the media rights. I will take the media rights, and yes, we'll do that for you. So I'll give you $25,000 to have extreme coverage of this race, exclusive. And if anybody else want to be a part of that, then what they'd have to do, they'd have to buy a part of that media rights. So while you sell it over for 25, if Channel 5 want to come in, they will probably have to pay 25, and this is just for the coverage. You and your team would be...
Well, I think that is something up for discussion as well. Like I said, we plan to have regular meetings, right, and discussion, open communication with the cyclists, because it involves them as well, right? If they are the main part of this situation. And so in that terms, we would discuss it as a team, as a collective, and then come to some solution.
That's actually the next question I wanted to ask you. One of the things that we see oftentimes in federations, and because they're usually a hierarchy set up, is that sometimes the individual rider, the person who wakes up every morning, doesn't want to think about the politics. They just want to ride and they just want to race. That's their goal. That's what they enjoy.
Absolutely.
How inclusive do you see yourself being with the other cyclists to get them on board, to be a part of the decision-making process, and also to have them help make decisions in moving the sport forward?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, where I'm situated is basically the hub, right? Every single youth passes through the bike shop, right? To name, just one of them, the young man Ernest Bradley, which is the son of the late great Jermaine. He came around as a very young kid, and we helped him out with the startup, and now watch the point that he's at, right? Everybody. Not just the juniors, but the elite as well. They come to the bike shop, and I am an opening ear for them. They come and discuss their concerns and what they believe should be done as well. So I am in direct communication with them, right? All the time. Not that say for example, you
hear all
can't
the
reach the
falls,
next person.
you hear all the great
right?
sprints.
Yeah.
I could imagine. So, of course, we're running out of time. And my final question is just, if you're elected come April, and it's going to be after the cross country, the federation is the same executive is running again. They're shifting up their posts. What different will an Alex Ordonez and team in cycling if you're elected after April? What's going to be the number one change that cyclists and fans of cycling can expect?
Okay, it would relate to the same the concerns, more races, more media coverage, the criterias and for the national teams, regular meetings. What else want to say? Communicating with national and international bodies to have more races, right?
And I would have one final question, and I think this is very important. Who is eligible to vote on that election day?
It's any registered member. Right? So it has shifted back. It was once, I think, the managers. Now it has shifted back to all registered members have a voice.
Registered members, riders,
cyclists, managers, everything like that. One thing I think I should mention before leaving is that we know that we were the ones that suggested that elections be after cross country, right? Elections were supposed to be from last year November sometime, and we, due to not getting a response, we suggested that we do it after cross country because the ball is already rolling. We're at a month away from cross country, and all the funding, it's our biggest cash race, right? So we would like to, say publicly that we would request some form of financial documentation to give a true reflection of what is there before we go in, because, we don't want to go in and be surprised.
All right. Alexis, thank you for coming in. We appreciate you sharing what your purpose is to put yourself forward as president. We know you're usually a behind-the-scenes person, so I think after hearing all the stories at the bike shop, you feel like you have a reason to step forward. So thank you for coming in.
Thank you, guys.
We're going to go ahead and take a break, and we'll be back in a few. Stay tuned.